So, you guys are probably very familiar with people like Blair White, Calvin Gara, the offensive T-slur, other content creators who are themselves trans, and yet their brand is transphobia. It sounds like an oxymoron, but I like to remind people often that people's identities do not, A, make them smarter or dumber, or B, make them automatically have good opinions on the topics pertaining to their identity. There are, in fact, people who are trans, LGBT, that are very bigoted towards trans and LGBT people for a variety of reasons. These problems exist, many of them too numerable to break down right now, so we're going to focus on the topic at hand. But one of the people who you've likely not thought about in a while is someone named Buck Angel. He is a famous trans man. I believe he used to do porn. I think that's like what he was really famous for, correct me if I'm wrong. And, like, he's very well known for having, like, photo shoots where he's just, like, ripped as fuck, bearded, very hairy. Just, like, you look at him and you're like, yeah, that's a 50-something-year-old man, all right. Like, that is not... That is a man, right? Regardless of whether you like him or not, that is definitely a fucking dude, right? This is a dude. Buck Angel is, however, quite vile when it comes to his transphobia, and much of his content, and yes, he does make content now on YouTube, is centered around, you know, the whole, like, oh, we gotta fight the trans trenders to support the real trans movement or whatever. And of course, there's that nice helping of self-degradation always thrown in there, like, I am not a trans man, I am not even a man, I am a female that identifies as a male, I am a transsexual male. And then they have to, like, clarify that they're not delusional enough to think they're really a man so that people will like them. You know, that whole bit. Anyway, I think, honestly, we should start with their most recent video. Men pretending to be trans are being transferred to female prisons.
And then he just...
Let's see what this is all about. There's been this, like, long-standing hysteria about the idea that men will pretend to be women and claim to be trans to get transferred to women's prisons, so it'll be like a kid in a candy store, quote-unquote, and they'll just have, like, ripe pickings to rape as many women as they want that are in the prison with them. And it's like, okay, so for starters, that is like literally the premise of a South Park episode, right? Second, if you think that that is a likely occurrence, don't you think that the likelihood of being raped or sexually assaulted in prison, say, by a cis woman or a cis man is worth enough to care about that we should solve that problem? Like, if you're somebody who cares about women's safety, why is the concern that trans women or people pretending to be trans women will do rape specifically and not the rape being the problem? Of course, they also like to bring up examples about, like, what if inmates get each other pregnant or whatever, right? As if inmates don't have gay sex sometimes in prisons, in, like, pods, and then sometimes that has resulted very commonly in sexually transmitted diseases spreading, which isn't necessarily getting pregnant, but it is still a thing that can occur from anybody having sex that costs money for the state to accommodate, and it's, like, a problem for those involved, if it, like, in a prison, right? Like, that's a really common thing. Like, there's a reason why there are hospitals and prisons, like, STIs run rampant, you know?
Decided to transition, and he became a female and started going by July Justine Shelby. Is that right?
Okay, I just want to point something out about this guy. Look how many of his teeth are rotted. I'm not the only one who notices it, right? These aren't even missing teeth. There is actual stuff there. These are, like, rotted, blackened teeth. I know it's in black and white, but, like, it's unmistakable. Look at his bottom teeth. They're all, like every other one, it looks like, is either rotted or graying. Look at that shit.
Decided to transition, and he became a female and started going by July Justine Shelby. Is that right?
Yes.
And Miss Shelby said, I don't want to go to a male prison. I want to go to a female prison.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel.
Wait, is that it? Like, what was the trial about? Was there like a rape in the female prison or something? Maybe we'll get more context. Let's see what happened.
So today I'm going to do a reaction on prisoners being transgender women. Prisoners, is it prisoners or are they called inmates? Okay, well, we'll just call them inmates. Trans women inmates who are
Man, I hope Buck Angel goes to jail or prison, ideally, at some point, like for like a day. And then he says, "What's up, my fellow inmates?" It would go very well for him. That is not the term that is typically used among the prisoners themselves. Usually convict, apparently, is the term that's commonly used. Like that's, I guess, generally like the PC word to use around a prison. But if you call people like criminals or like prisoners or inmates, it sounds like, you know, you sound like a cop, kind of. You know, it doesn't sound good. It's not like you don't want to have people hear you saying that. But I guess he's not going to prison. Hopefully not. But I'm curious, like, if there's a problem with prisoners being trans, like that's a thing that has to be dealt with or like stopped, I guess. Like, does Buck think that if he got arrested and got charged and went to prison, like, he would be a bad person for wanting, I would assume, wanting to be in the men's prison? No, honestly, no. Buck would want to go to the female prison, I bet. He'd assume it'd be, like, easier and nicer on him and be like, well, no, I'm actually biologically a woman, sorry. And he'd just do that. Like, he'd literally be, like, the South Park bit where a bearded, like, man who is 60-something years old insists he's a woman to the court to be put into a woman's prison. That would be Buck Angel, ironically enough. He would be like the bearded, muscular, big, hairy dude who's like quite old, arguing with the judge saying, I insist I am a woman and I must be put in the woman's prison. It's like, okay.
biological
Jesus.
male who are being transferred to women's prison in California. We're going to talk specifically about California. I think they're being transferred in other states as well, but I'm specifically going to focus on the California state prison system here. And the fact that we have males, biological males, being put in women's prison. And so I have some really great clips.
To be honest, I don't take anybody seriously who pronounces biological like biological. Like when they hit that biological. Like when they hit it like that, when they hit like, I don't take them seriously after they say it like that.
To show you, because I'm just very shocked that this isn't more prominent within the news media. Well, I guess I'm not shocked. They don't talk about anything that's important. And that
This man does not appear to be a gamer. Why does he appropriate the gaming chair? Well, to be fair, gaming chairs are made to like support your back in a particular way, helpful for when you're sitting up at a computer at a keyboard and you're playing games. You know, it's meant for long bouts of like gaming posture.
That being said, and they don't tell the truth. So
Which is similar
there's
to
this
long
great-
bouts of, which is similar to streaming posture, to be fair. Streaming/recording posture.
I want to give a shout out to this great site called the Independent Women's Forum, IWF. It's on YouTube, and I'll put a link to it here because I'm going to use some of the videos that they have produced, which are really well produced.
Well, the point is that prisons are already full of rape, trans people or no, so why, one, would trans people being in prisons be a unique problem? And two, why is that your concern when rape is already a problem? And you seem to at least agree that rape is an issue. Why are we just okay with the rape as long as it's not being done by or involving trans people? Or just like, I assume that's the concern is rape. That's always what I hear is the concern. People who tend to enunciate offensive language are childishly bigoted. Yeah. I heard gaming chair are actually garbage and you should get an office chair. It depends. It really depends. Honestly, the best kind of chair you can get, it depends on your desk, really. What really makes the difference is your desk chair combo. If you can get a like standing desk, one that can switch between standing and sitting, that's ideal because you can adjust the height. And then from there, you can just, like, shop for a chair that's most comfortable for you, and then you don't really have much to worry about in regards to, like, clearance, how close you can get or far you can get from the desk and still be comfortable and reach the mouse and keyboard. A lot of it is in the desk, not just the chair.
And they talked to actual women inmates, one who has been released. I think both of them have been released, but their experiences in the women prison while trans women, biological males, were transferred to the prison while they were there. And the insanity that came when those males were transferred to a woman's prison. It is, I can't even believe I'm actually having this conversation. It's so absurd and insane. Now, before we move forward, I just want to let you know that I spent like a week in jail once.
Oh, okay. Let's get the story.
I'm laughing because it was insane. And I was actually in a woman's prison because it was prior to my transition here in Los Angeles. And it was not fun and it was not okay. And it was pretty rough. But I have to tell you this. There were no men in the prison, okay? And I can't even imagine being in that space. You're cramped in. It's small. It's horrible. It's insane. It's not fun. It's its own world. Let me just tell you. There's rules and regulations and all kinds of stuff. But it's with women. When you pluck a man in a situation, I don't care that it's a trans woman. I don't care.
Okay, so we're just saying that, like, trans women are men. Is the claim here. So just blatant transphobia. It really sucks how much of an audience there is for it too, you know? Like, there's a very easy grift for conservatives to, like, want their token trans, like, bigots. And then, of course, there's the, there's a lot of trans and LGBT people out there that go on the internet and they look for someone to look up to who is also trans. And sadly, they're going to notice Blair White long before they're going to notice ContraPoints. You know, it sucks, but, like, these loud, hateful fucks are the most prominent and attractive to normies trans figures out there. Outside of, I guess, like, trans people who make normie content, which is, I guess, the most effective types of pro-trans advocacy is just a trans content creator who makes really good content that's really well liked, and forces transphobes to be like, oh, but I like their videos. But they're trans, but their videos are so good. And then maybe that cracks through some shells. I've actually noticed a lot of people become less transphobic due to, like, random MMO content creators that ended up being trans that make really fun videos. So yeah, it's really shitty that these content creators are some of the most prominent in that sphere. But it is what it is. Not only that, he's insulting trans women. He's insinuating trans women would be violent if they were there. No, what he's doing right now is doing that, like, bizarre, men have this, like, evil essence to them type vibe that, like, it will disrupt the women's vibes, you know? That's what I imagine he's getting at.
They're still male. I'm still female. When you put a man in that...
Listen, guys, you have to like me. I get it. I may literally do everything in my life to reaffirm to myself that I'm a male because that's what I need for my own mental health. But I promise you guys, I'm totally not deluded into thinking I'm really a man. I'm totally a woman, guys. Please continue to like me. Please continue to donate. I'll keep on shitting on trans people. Just please give me money. Okay.
That situation, all hell is going to break loose, especially when the males are still intact physically.
What the fuck is he talking about? Are we pretending like prisons are these, like, extremely well... Like, we have to operate, to even agree with this argument, we have to operate under the assumption that the prison system is even in an okay state. Like, a decent or acceptable state as it is. If these problems exist, if they are even possible to exist, then we need to reform the prison system. The fact that men and women could be in the same building at all, held in... Not to mention, by the way, to be very clear, they are male guards. You guys know that? Like, the COs at the prison and at the jails, like female prisons and female jails, are also male. The warden, a lot of the, like, administrators and stuff, there are constantly men. watching and filling the building. And not to mention, a fair few of those male guards have done sexual assault on female prisoners. It's happened. But, like, more often than not, it doesn't happen. But, like, to pretend like female prisons are like these girls-only buildings or something, like, what are you talking about? There's probably more men in, like, a female prison than there are women when you consider the amount of, like, COs and administrators and staff they have on site. Like, there's janitors and shit like that. Like, there's doctors and medical personnel and people filing paperwork and people stand at the front desk at, like, the receiving and discharge area and all that shit. You know, like, I've watched a lot of prison shows. I know how these things work. To pretend like a female prison is like some, like, woman-only space, super, like, you know, no matter how bad it gets, at least it's just the girls, you know? Like, what the fuck?
With their genitalia. And possibly not even taking hormones. This is absurd, people. So anyway, I don't want to make...
And before I get called transphobic for making fun of Buck Angel's voice, I'm sorry. I get to make fun of Buck Angel for being an annoying cunt, okay? I get to do that. Buck Angel being bigoted in the most smug, annoying, like, way possible, I get to make fun of that, all right?
This too long, but even though I think this is one of the most important pieces that I have done, honestly, I just feel so disgusted. So this first one, and before I move forward...
Bro, just stop virtue signaling and get to the fucking point already. What the fuck? Shilling, okay.
Has passed legislation allowing transgender inmates in the state's correctional facilities to be assigned housing based on their gender identity.
That's when the males started, by the numbers, identifying themselves as females, to the point where we were now giving them transgender identification cards so that they can purchase female products at the canteen, such as Moo Moo.
What I love about this that's so funny to me is the implication that, like, well, guys, if they rape a woman in the prison and they identify as a woman, then they get to get away with it. It's like, what? What? You got, like, they do realize that, like, the chances of a rape have not changed based on, like, a trans person being introduced or even a man being introduced if there is already a prevalence and possibility and a clear enabling of prison rape. That's the problem with the prison system. We gotta watch the cool video of, like, the Nordic prisons after this.
Makeup, bras, tampons.
In September, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed Senate Bill 132 into law.
We had to transfer male inmates to female institutions. Oh, they were excited. They were like kids in a candy store because they knew they were going.
Yep, I know. Oh my god. Oh my god. I swear I didn't pre-watch. I swear I didn't pre-watch. Do you want to know why he said they were like kids in a candy store? Because he's making it the fuck up. Because that's the kind of shit that people say based off of vibes. Like, yeah, if we let this happen, these men are going to go in there and they'll be like kids in a candy store. I literally made up a quote that sounds like what these people would say off the top of my head. And he said it word for word. Because frankly, what these people actually say isn't far from being exact. I knew nothing about this situation before watching this video, and I was able to guess what their argument would be. And I've never heard this guy speak or make that argument. I hear people make that argument, like, that are similar to him, but it's just like, these people, they're making this shit up. It's like doesn't it sound like there'd be rapists doing this, and they'd be like kids in a candy store in a women's prison. They'd just be allowed to be raping everywhere. The guards will do nothing, and they'll just be allowed to do it. They'll be afraid of getting canceled if they do anything about it, because it'd be transphobic to stop the trans women from raping the cis women. You know, it's like, okay, sure.
From a men's prison to a female's prison, and we will watch them take off in the bus.
So
Hold on a second.
Excited. They were like kids in a candy store because they knew they were going from a men's prison to a female's prison, and we will watch them take off in the bus.
Why is everything all blurred? Is there a reason why we're not seeing, like, the name of the outlet this was taken from? Let's see what sources there are. I wonder if Buck has cited his sources. Do you want to know where that clip came from? Cruel and Unusual Punishment, the male takeover of female prisons, trailer. It literally, he got that clip from the trailer of a video from Independent Women's Forum. Let's see what this channel's about.
I was working at
Louisiana Superintendent Cade Bumley, laser focused on academic achievement, students over systems, cruel and unusual punishment, sexual assault victim shares trauma of prison's trans policies, Save Sisterhood press conference, Kelly Williams Bowler, jailed for enrolling her children in a nearby school, May Mailman, led counsel in Kappa Kappa Gamma lawsuit, Hannah Holtmeyer, plaintiff in the Kappa Kappa cruel and unusual punishment, prison guard resigns after immoral, dangerous trans policies, episode 3. Where are the hashtag bring back our girls' voices now? This is like a nothing channel, too. The transphobia seems to be their first big, like, high view thing, as you'd expect. Like, you'll see this, right? Like, a channel gets, like, 100 views for, like, years and years and years when you scroll back into their video history, and then they make one right-wing grift video, because maybe they're a bit conservative and they just took a shot at it. It does, like, 80 times better than any video they've made before, and then slowly they just become a right-wing grift channel. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know if that guy has, like, literally
and then
any...
he decided...
I don't know if that guy has literally any credentials or, like, evidence that he is not talking out of his ass, to be honest.
Listen to what she has to say.
During my incarceration, there was a policy that was just case...
This is from one of those documentaries, the same channel. Wait, is this literally just Buck Angel taking clips from that channel and, like, ranting about them? It is, isn't it? He just took clips from the TERF propaganda channel, and he's gonna, like, upload clips, and it's like, yeah, these are, like... Look at these, like, testimonies, guys. This is a big problem.
By case, as there were safety needs for trans women or others, it was considered by a committee, and people trickled in, one here, one there. But in 2012, there was a convicted serial rapist who was transferred into the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla, California. And it was extremely traumatic for all women.
Wait, are we not segregating those who commit that kind of crime? Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. Let me look into this. I feel like fact-checking. I've got the fact-checker bug on me. Richard Masbruch. Okay. Life as a transgender inmate, confronting a hostile system behind bars in court. I would just as soon cut someone if they messed with me, says Lady J, but protection from transgender women remains an uphill battle in prison culture. In the visiting room at San Quentin State Penitentiary, 25 miles north of San Francisco, Lady J. Clark looks around the room. You see, she says, everyone is looking at us. The large space is filled with inmates and their families. Everyone is talking, playing card games, and eating food from the vending machines. Because San Quentin is a men's prison. The inmates are all men, except for Lady J, who has been in the prison system for more than 20 years. Mid-discussion, Lady J speaks animatedly about wanting to have boobs down to her knees, like an old Southern lady, before adding she, quote, just wants them to keep getting bigger and bigger. She has an imposing presence, brash, tall, and indeed large-chested, which is obvious despite the unflattering chambray prison uniform, or chambray? I don't know if that's a color. The same worn by all male prisoners. Her hair is cropped short, but is curled on the top. A style she achieves, she tells me, by twisting paper towels into long worms and using them as curlers. Lady J came out in 1973 at the age of 12, and presents to any observer as a woman. Nevertheless, she's categorized as a man by the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, the CDCR. Hey, the same acronym that was just being talked about. She's just one of more than 300 transgender inmates in California prisons statewide. The national 300 transgender inmates in California prisons. By the way, this whole issue that they're freaking out about is over 300 people. The national estimate for transgender inmates is about 700. The national estimate for transgender inmates is about 700. 300 of them are in California. Cool. Lady J is also frank about her unusual position. When asked about her experience, her response is simple. How raw do you want it? Those behind bars like Lady J must confront a hostile and violent system. According to a study by University of California Irvine professor Valerie Jenis, more than half of all transgender inmates experience rape. Oh! Who would have guessed that? More than half of all transgender inmates experience rape, as in are the ones raped. Prison culture also creates an atmosphere where transgender inmates may submit to sexual assault for protection from physical violence. This is very common, especially if you're gay in prison, apparently. It's very common for this to happen, all under the callous indifference of prison authorities. Lady J describes the violence in Calipataria state prison during the 1990s, where she quickly landed in administrative segregation, mainly for fighting, not obeying orders, and refusing to stand during count. There, Lady J says that she participated in gladiator-style fights staged by correctional officers. Her fighting earned her kind of a respect. It sounds really crazy, but deep down, I was looking forward to the fight, she writes in a letter. I was the only transgender to my knowledge that had ever participated. I was part of the movement. In addition to rape, transgender inmates face the threat of death at the hands of other inmates. 2 years ago in California, a transgender woman named Carmen Guerrero was killed by her cellmate, Miguel Crespo, at Kern County State Prison in California's Central Valley. Crespo was in prison for murder in LA County. Guerrero's previous cellmate, Jonathan Wilson, was her romantic partner. He said that, wait a second. No fucking way. Hold on. Here, let me scroll till I find the... Obviously, this is going to be a lot of tragedy. I want to find the reference to the person in question that's claimed to be this, like, awful rapist. Rich. Maybe last name, I'd imagine, doesn't dead name. Okay, here it is. When the CDCR decided to house Sherry Masbrush, a transgender woman, in a women's prison, both the media and advocacy groups were distressed. Okay, so this actually happened, at least. Masbrush was convicted of brutally raping a woman, and her presence at a women's prison troubled many. No transgender woman has been moved to a women's prison in California since. Some jails, like Cook in LA County, have begun to house transgender inmates in special housing units, where they are safer and can gain access to counseling and special treatment. However, on the whole, transgender inmates are automatically placed in situations that might be dangerous. Wait a second. So it's literally one person? So this Sherry Masbrush person is like the Nashville shooter of the prison system. The one trans person who's like maybe a legitimate threat to women that did like a really bad thing. And it's like everyone agrees is bad, but now the right is going to say this one person did a thing. There is an explosion in this. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like Grums and his sphere are freaking out about Call of Duty. I don't even know if they actually did this. It might have been a made-up screenshot, like a photoshopped thing. Grums does like start entire campaigns based off of a screenshot, or sorry, a photoshopped image. He's done it like 4 times now. But apparently they added like a trans bullet skin to the game. And Grum's response was, how could you do this when there is a explosion in transgender terrorism? And then it's like, there was the one shooter, guys. Come on. Like, you had one person, and now it's like, it's been years now, and it's going to be an explosion in transgender violence. At this point, we might as well just say all white dudes are terrorists, right? If we're really going to go that way with shootings, okay? Like, if we want to do the math, then all white dudes are terrorists now. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Honestly, just for using this as a source, I think Buck Angel is, like, actually, like bile. Like, actually, like, a pile of steaming shit. Let's read some of the comments. I have never heard of a trans man prisoner demanding to be put in a men's prison. Never. And then Buck Angel hearted that. Yeah, that's actually the joke, is that Buck Angel himself would insist that he's a woman and be the, like, tall, muscular, bearded, bald man insisting on being put into a woman's prison. Using tax dollars to pay for tampons for men. To call that insanity is to be too kind. Jesus Christ, that's happening. As a woman who was raped by a few different people before I hit double digits, I don't feel comfortable with men taking over women's spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms. Too bad, too bad. There will be many women who have been raped that will try to push against the trans acceptance movement because they will never see trans women as not a threat. Their uncomfortableness with trans identity does not trump people's rights. They can go fuck themselves. Well, yeah. Like, tell them, I'm sorry that happened to you, but get over yourself. That is the only valid response to people who say, well, I was raped and I don't feel comfortable with trans people. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Trans people are still allowed to use public facilities. Anyway, with all that said, I think this was a pretty good segment. If you thought I said good stuff and you agree with what I had to say, then please consider dropping a like. It really does mean a lot to me, seriously. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe and ring the bell icon if you haven't already, so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. Follow my social medias, linked down below, so you see more from me, of course. And don't forget, if you want to support me directly financially to help me pay my bills, keep food in my belly, and of course, help to raise money for the quail content that's coming soon. I need a new camera, and I need a quail incubator, and a coop. Then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting us up on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Streamelements, Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, I really do appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good one.